"Mom, you have 10 minutes to leave. You weren't invited." Those were the first words my daughter spoke when she opened the door. No hello, no Merry Christmas, just that sentence, sharp enough to slice through the warm air spilling out from the house behind her. Snow blew against my coat, but Hannah's voice hit harder than the wind. She blocked the doorway in her red dress, arms crossed tight, chin lifted the way she did when she pretended she was above everyone else. She didn't even look at the gift basket I was holding. Her eyes were fixed on me like I was standing in the wrong place, ruining her night by existing. "Hannah," I answered quietly, "I'm here for Christmas." Her jaw clenched. "Not this one. You need to go. Please don't make me repeat myself." Before I could speak again, Derek stepped into view behind her. He tugged his sleeve, glanced at me once, then looked away like the sight of me made him uncomfortable. "Hannah, bring her inside." "It's freezing out here," a woman's voice called from the dining room. Hannah flinched. "Everything's fine," she shouted over her shoulder, blocking the doorway even more. Then she leaned in closer. "Mom, I'm serious. Don't make this a scene. These are Derek's colleagues. I can't have you walk in looking like—" She stopped herself, but the damage was done. "Like what?" I asked. She didn't answer. She didn't need to. Behind her, I caught a glimpse of the table, silverware polished, glasses filled, candles lit in perfect rows. Every seat taken. Not one place set for me. I lifted the basket slightly. "I brought your favorite cookies." She stepped back as if the basket carried something unpleasant. "We already have dessert. We don't need any of that." Any of that. Any of me. My hands tightened around the handle. "I thought we were spending the evening together." "That was before," she snapped. "Plans changed." Derek checked his watch. "Hannah, they're waiting." She took a breath, straightened her shoulders, and pointed toward my car. "Mom, please, go home. Leave quietly. I don't want anyone seeing you out here." A cold, sharp humiliation settled over the doorway. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't plead. I simply stood there and looked at the daughter I had raised for 34 years. "All right, dear," I replied evenly. "But remember something." She froze. "Remember what?" "I helped build this Christmas long before Derek's colleagues ever sat at that table." She didn't respond. She only pushed the door halfway shut, hiding most of her face behind it, leaving just enough space to watch me walk away. I turned from the warm lights and stepped back into the snow. Each step down the front path felt firm, controlled. I wasn't leaving in shame. I was remembering every detail, every word, every look she gave me. Snow gathered on my hair and scarf, but I kept moving, steady and calm. At the car, I opened the door and placed the basket on the passenger seat. My fingers brushed against the snow globe in my coat pocket. Richard's. The small cabin inside glowed when I wound it, and the soft music filled the silence around me. I held the globe close, the melody rising gently under the dim porch lights. I turned it once, watching the flakes swirl. Then I looked back at the house. Through the frosted windshield, I saw figures raising glasses, smiling, taking pictures near the tree. Hannah laughed at something Derek whispered to her. She never glanced toward the window. Not once. I reached into my pocket, grabbed my phone, and locked the screen after one tap. I didn't need to open anything. The decision was already made. I whispered, calm and certain, "This is the last Christmas anyone tells me I don't belong." I rested both hands on the steering wheel. My voice stayed level. "I'm done being the quiet one." I backed out slowly, watching the house shrink behind the falling snow. Just before the street curved, I murmured one final sentence into the quiet cabin. "You'll remember this night, Hannah, and so will I." Then I drove away. Warm air hit me as soon as I stepped back inside the foyer. Conversation stopped. A few guests turned their heads, surprised to see me walk in from the cold. Derek moved toward me fast. "You can't be here." I brushed snow off my sleeve. "Relax. I'm here for 1 minute." Two servers pushed carts toward the dining room. When they noticed me, they hesitated and glanced at each other. Hannah appeared from the hallway, her heels clicking hard across the floor. "Mom, what are you doing? I told you to leave." I lifted the folder I had pulled from the side table. Interesting place to leave my credit paperwork." Her face went pale. "Why are you touching that?" "Because it has my name on every charge for tonight." A couple near the staircase whispered to each other. Hannah stiffened. "Put that down," she muttered, her eyes darting between me and the guests. I handed the folder to one of the servers. "Check the signature. It's mine." The server opened it, scanned the first page, then looked at Hannah without a word. Hannah's voice rose. "Mom, stop. You're ruining the dinner." "I funded the dinner." Derek stepped between us, shoulders squared. "This event is private. You weren't invited." "I noticed," I replied, "but my bank didn't get that memo." More guests peeked into the foyer, drawn by the tension. Forks lowered, glasses paused midair. The room tilted toward silence. Hannah pressed her fingers against her temple. "Mom, I begged you not to create drama." "I'm stating facts, Hannah." A woman near the fireplace asked, "Is something wrong?" Hannah forced a tight smile. "Nothing's wrong. Please go back inside." I pointed at the decorated table behind her. "Every plate on that table was purchased with my card." Derek's jaw flexed. "You're being inappropriate." I stepped aside so the guests could see the folder in the server's hand. "No. What's inappropriate is hosting a dinner you didn't pay for and pretending otherwise." Hannah snapped, "Stop talking like that." I looked around the room. "Anyone here confused about what's happening? Let me help." Hannah lunged forward and grabbed my wrist. "Mom, please, you're humiliating me. You humiliated yourself when you shut the door in my face." The sentence cut the air clean. Guests stared. One woman lowered her wineglass and whispered loudly enough for everyone to hear, "She did what?" Hannah's shoulders caved for a second before she caught herself. "I told you, it was private." "Private because you didn't want anyone to see your mother," I answered. Derek raised his hand toward the servers. "Everyone focus on your work." But the servers didn't move. The guests didn't move. No one looked away. I pulled my scarf tighter around my neck. For 30 Christmases, I cooked, cleaned, decorated, and paid. Tonight is the first year I wasn't allowed near the front door. A man near the tree muttered, "That's rough." A woman shook her head. "I'd never treat my mom like that." Hannah trembled. "Mom, please, stop." I pointed gently toward the dining room. "Look at them. They deserve the truth. And you do too." Derek took a step closer, voice low. "You need to leave. Right now." "I will." Hannah's shoulders dropped in relief. "But let me be clear," I added. "I'm walking out because I choose to, not because any of you ordered me around." A hush spread through the foyer. No one blinked. I looked directly at Hannah. "Enjoy your dinner, because after tonight, nothing stays the way it was." She swallowed hard. "What does that mean?" "You'll find out soon." I turned toward the door. Snow blew inside the foyer as I opened it. Right as I stepped out, I paused and glanced over my shoulder. "You erased me from Christmas, Hannah, but you kept my money. That mistake ends tonight." Gasps filled the foyer. I walked out before anyone could speak again. The cold hit instantly, but it felt cleaner than the air inside. I headed to my car, boots crunching through the snow. Inside the cabin, I closed the door, shutting out the noise. The engine hummed to life. I didn't look back. I didn't slow down. I had been thrown out once. Now it was my turn to act. Snow hit the windshield in steady sheets as I pulled away from the house. The road curved along the lake, dark and quiet. I gripped the steering wheel, not to calm myself, but to focus. My phone buzzed once in the cup holder. Hannah's name flashed across the screen. I let it ring. The call ended. Another came, then another. I pulled into an empty overlook facing the lake. The engine hummed. The snow globe on the console rattled slightly with the vibration. The phone buzzed again. I tapped the screen. Decline. "Now you know what silence feels like," I murmured. I picked up the phone and scrolled to a number I hadn't used in months. Patricia at the bank, the only person who ever handled the Moore Trust without mistakes. I pressed call. She answered on the second ring. "Mrs. Moore, everything all right? I need every transaction linked to the Moore Trust frozen immediately." Patricia paused for half a second. Papers rustled. All transactions? That includes the catering charges, the decorations, the vendor payments. Yes. I rested my arm on the console. Every dollar stops moving tonight. Patricia's voice sharpened. Effective when? Now. A keyboard clacked on her end. I can suspend all outgoing payments within minutes. Incoming will be flagged. Nothing will clear without your signature. Perfect. Patricia continued typing. Do you want notifications pushed to your phone? No. I want them pushed to my email only. That can be done. It will all freeze within the hour. Good. I looked out at the lake, the ice thick and unmoving. Merry Christmas to me. Patricia exhaled quietly. Is this about your family? It's about accounting. I'll process everything immediately. Thank you. I ended the call. The phone buzzed again. Hannah. I let it ring 10 full times before it went silent. A text arrived. Mom, please pick up. I locked the screen. The car interior was dim, the only light coming from the dashboard. I turned the snow globe once. The tune rose softly, steady, and familiar. Its rhythm matched the plan forming in my mind. Clean, precise. Another call came through, this time from Derek's number. Decline. Moments later, a voicemail notification appeared. I didn't open it. I tapped on my banking app instead. 4 vendor transactions were already marked, suspended. 2 more pending. The invoice for the catering alone filled half the screen. I zoomed in. Hannah's dinner cost more than her first apartment. Family is business now, I whispered. I'll handle it like business. My phone lit again, a string of texts from Hannah. Mom, the servers are asking questions. Did you cancel something? Mom, please answer. We can fix it if you talk to me. I tossed the phone onto the passenger seat. It vibrated against the basket I had left untouched. I shifted the car into drive, pulled back onto the main road, and headed toward town. Snow hit the windshield harder, but the tires gripped steadily. As I reached the intersection leading toward my house, another text popped up. Mom, stop ignoring me. This isn't funny. I glanced at the message, then turned left instead of right. I wasn't going home. I drove toward the small office park where Laura, my oldest friend and the only lawyer I trusted, kept her practice. The building would be closed for the holiday, but she always checked her after-hours messages. When I reached the empty parking lot, I pulled into a space facing her dark window. A small Christmas wreath hung on it. I opened my contacts and tapped her name. It rang 6 times before her tired voice came through. Helen, it's Christmas Eve. I know. I assume this isn't casual. No. I watched snow build along the edge of the windshield. I need documentation for 30 years of financial support, tuition, rent, wedding costs, everything. Laura rustled papers on her end. You're launching a case? I'm preparing one. You're serious, she murmured. Always. She sighed once. Email me everything you have. I'll organize it first thing in the morning. Thank you. I ended the call without another word. The decision was made, clean and final. The phone vibrated again. Hannah. I didn't touch it. I drove out of the lot, turned onto the main street, and headed toward home. Lights from the decorations flickered across the snow as I passed each house. The night wasn't quiet. It was clear, and it was mine now. Inside the lake house, the string quartet played its last clean note before one violinist lowered her bow and leaned toward the others. They exchanged a quick look, gathered their instruments, and walked toward the hallway. Hannah spotted them first. Where are you going? You're not on break. The lead violinist lifted her case. We were notified the payment authorization failed. What? Her voice cracked. That's impossible. Try again. We already did. Before Hannah could respond, 2 catering staff rushed in with empty trays. Their supervisor followed behind them, holding a tablet. Mrs. Ellis, he addressed Hannah, all transactions linked to this event have been revoked. We need confirmation to proceed. Derek strode over, brow tight. Revoked by who? The supervisor tapped the screen. The account holder, Mrs. Helen Moore. Every guest within earshot turned. Hannah shook her head rapidly. "There's a mistake. She wouldn't do that." The supervisor kept his tone neutral. "We need immediate payment, or we must withdraw services." Some guests stood up, confused. Someone muttered, "Is the dinner canceled?" Hannah whipped around. "No! Everyone sit! Please! Everything is fine!" But nothing was fine. Two bartenders paused mid-pour. One glanced at the dead card reader and shut the top of the cocktail shaker. The music died completely. The room filled with quiet questions. Derek grabbed his phone. "I'll handle it." He walked toward the side table, dialing. Hannah followed him. "Call the bank. Fix this. Tell them it's urgent." Derek pressed his hand against his forehead. "I'm trying. Just give me a second." Another vendor entered from the patio, carrying a tub of supplies. "We're packing up the outdoor heaters. Authorization failure." Hannah spun toward the wall of windows. No, leave them." "It's freezing outside. People are coming in and out." "Can't," he replied simply. "We're required to shut down until payment clears." The heaters outside flicked off, plunging the patio into cold darkness. Guests exchanged uneasy glances. One man whispered, "Didn't they hire all of this?" A woman answered, "Looks like someone else funded it." Hannah's cheeks flushed bright red. "Everyone, please stay calm. We're resolving this." But the vendors weren't waiting. The catering team began loading their equipment onto carts. The quartet passed through the foyer with their cases. A delivery driver unplugged the dessert table warmers. The chocolate fountain sputtered and went still. The room grew eerily quiet. The Christmas lights on the tree flickered, then dimmed as the control panel on the smart outlet reset from the revoked payment. Click, click, click. One by one, the lights faded. A guest whispered, "Is that supposed to happen?" Another shrugged, shifting uncomfortably. Hannah's breath came fast. She grabbed Derek's arm. "Tell me you got through to the bank." He shook his head. "No answer. It's Christmas Eve, Hannah." She gripped his sleeve harder. "Try again." He pulled his arm free. "Stop yelling. You're not helping." Her eyes darted to the windows, searching for my car in the driveway. I wasn't there. I was parked far enough down the road to see everything through my rearview mirror, watching the house from a quiet distance. The tree's lights blinked off in segments, first the top strand, then the middle, then the bottom. One final bulb flickered and died. The entire room inside dipped into semi-darkness. Back inside, a server approached Hannah carefully. "We've packed the main dishes. We'll return the warming trays once the account clears." Hannah grabbed the edge of the serving cart. "You can't leave. People haven't eaten." The server stepped back. "Ma'am, we legally can't serve food for an event that isn't funded." Gasps echoed around the dining room. A man at the head of the table lifted his hands. "Maybe we should go." "No," Hannah blurted out. "Dinner's not canceled. Everyone relax." But the guests didn't relax. A woman rose from her chair, purse in hand. "Hannah, sweetie, it's all right. We understand." "No, you don't understand," Hannah snapped. "My mother is doing this. She's trying to ruin everything." The room went still. Derek approached her slowly. "Hannah, lower your voice." "She's humiliated me." Hannah's voice cracked. "She froze everything to punish me." A man near the fireplace whispered, "She froze it? That must have taken planning." Another muttered, "This is awkward." Derek pulled out his wallet. "I'll pay the caterers." The supervisor glanced at the open wallet. "We need pre-authorization for the entire service. That's $8,000. Derek's hand hesitated. The supervisor continued, "We also need the deposit for equipment, plus the quartet, plus the outdoor rentals." Derek closed his wallet slowly. "We don't have that limit available today." Hannah stared at him. "What do you mean we don't have—" "Hannah," he cut her off. "You know exactly what I mean." The vendors continued rolling carts toward the door. The quartet slipped out quietly. A delivery driver unplugged the last heater. The patio darkened completely. And then the Christmas tree shut off entirely, leaving only the glow of the fireplace. A single guest summed it up under his breath. "This party is over." Hannah staggered backward, gripping the edge of the table. The chairs around her creaked as guests rose, putting on coats, murmuring apologies, giving awkward smiles. A woman touched Hannah's shoulder gently. "Honey, maybe tonight isn't the night." Hannah jerked her arm away. "Don't pity me." Derek stepped aside, letting guests exit. He didn't look at his wife. Hannah called after them. "Please don't leave. The food is coming back. This was just a mistake." But the room was already emptying. Outside, through my rearview mirror, I watched the silhouettes move across the windows. People gathering coats, shaking heads, whispering as they left the collapsing party. Inside the house, Hannah stood alone in the dim foyer, the dying tree lights reflecting off the floor. She pressed her hands to her face, breath shaking. The perfect Christmas she built without me had just fallen apart in front of everyone she wanted to impress, and she knew exactly who triggered it. She just didn't know what was coming next. The road home stretched empty in front of me. Snow drifted across the pavement, but the phone buzzing in the passenger seat was louder than the storm. Hannah's name flashed again. I didn't reach for it. The call rang out, then another followed within seconds. I parked the car by the frozen lake, the engine humming in a steady rhythm. The glow from the shoreline houses reflected off the ice like faint street lamps. The phone buzzed non-stop. I leaned back in my seat and waited. Another call, another vibration, another attempt. The screen filled with messages. "Mom, please pick up. We need to talk. Mom, answer me." I tapped the screen. Decline. A moment later, the phone rang again. I let it ring until it cut off by itself. Snow piled slowly on the hood as the cold deepened around me. The only sound inside the car was the faint rattle of the snow globe resting in the cup holder. More texts flooded the screen. Everything shut down here. The servers left. People walked out. "Mom, please just explain what's going on." I turned my gaze toward the lake, its surface frozen solid, unbothered by the night's chaos or the calls trying to reach me. The phone vibrated again, harder this time, as if Hannah believed sheer persistence could break through silence. I whispered, "Now you know what silence feels like." I let the phone ring out once more. Then I pressed the lock button and placed it face down beside the snow globe. A minute passed, then another. Then the screen lit up again. "Derek." I hit decline instantly. 5 seconds later, Hannah's name appeared again. I didn't touch it. I watched the reflection of the incoming call bounce faintly across the frozen lake through the windshield. The vibration eventually faded, leaving the car quiet once more. I unzipped my bag and took out a small notepad. I wrote the time of each call and each text. Clean lines, no commentary, just numbers and timestamps. The phone buzzed again. "Persistent," I muttered. A new message appeared. "Mom, I'm serious. Pick up. This isn't funny." Then another. "Are you doing this on purpose?" I clicked the pen once, jotting down the new entries. The phone buzzed again. The same name, the same desperation. "Mom, please, I need you." I exhaled through my nose. Calm, controlled. The lake didn't move. The sky didn't shift. The silence didn't break. Another call, another decline, another text came in. "Fine. If you want to ignore me, I'll come to your house." I wrote the text time down and closed the notepad. "She won't," I murmured. "She's too busy explaining the mess she created." I turned on the snow globe. Its soft melody filled the cabin, steady, neutral, predictable. A contrast to the frantic vibration of the phone beside it. The music finished. Silence returned. A final message popped up. "Mom, please, I'm sorry. Just talk to me." I didn't answer. The phone stopped buzzing. The screen dimmed back to black. For the first time all night, the silence wasn't heavy. It wasn't painful. It wasn't a punishment. It was a boundary. I rested my hand on the steering wheel, watching the lake hold its shape under the cold, unmoved by noise, untouched by panic. The phone never buzzed again, not for the next hour, not for the rest of the night. And that silence, finally, belonged to me. I pulled into my driveway just after 10. The house was dark, quiet, Exactly how I left it. I carried my bag inside, turned on the kitchen light, and walked straight to the table. I didn't hang my coat. I didn't take off my boots. I opened the drawer where I kept 30 years of paperwork, receipts, tuition slips, rent transfers, medical bills, moving costs, wedding invoices, everything Hannah ever needed, everything I had kept without knowing why. Now I knew. I spread the folders across the table. The pile reached my elbows. The phone buzzed once from inside my bag. I didn't check it. I clicked the lamp on the table. The light hit the first folder. Let's start. I pulled out the earliest receipt. Community college enrollment, $3,142. I wrote it down on a clean sheet of paper. Next, textbooks, $486. Next, car repair when her tire blew out junior year, $329. My pen moved in steady lines across the page. No shaking, no rushing. The phone buzzed again, then again. I ignored it. I opened the next folder. Her first apartment, down payment, first month's rent, utilities deposit, furniture allowance, $8,900. I wrote it all down. A call came in. The screen lit up through the bag fabric. Hannah's name glowed bright. Decline. I kept writing. Next folder. Wedding costs, dresses, caterer balance, photography package upgrade, venue deposit. Total, $41,000. I clicked the pen once. Expensive choice, I muttered. I wrote every number. The phone buzzed again. A text, then another, then a long pause, followed by a voicemail alert. I didn't play it. I kept sorting. Next, rent help after Derek lost his job 3 years ago, $6,200. Next, emergency dental bill Hannah couldn't cover, $890. Next, business loan she never paid back, $12,500. I wrote it line by line, no comments, no judgments, just numbers. By the time I reached the last folder, I had 2 full pages of calculations. The total landed heavy on the bottom line, $883,000. I circled it once. The phone buzzed again, a new number this time. Derek. I tapped the screen, decline, and placed the phone face down on the table. I leaned back in the chair for a breath. "This is not revenge," I whispered. "This is documentation." I picked up my phone again, scrolled to Laura's name, and pressed call. She answered on the 3rd ring, her voice tired but alert. "Helen, you all right?" "I'm ready." "For what?" she asked. "For formal documentation. I want every item prepared legally." Papers shuffled on her end. "Helen, it's Christmas Eve." "Exactly." She paused. "You're certain you want to do this?" "Yes." "Give me the numbers." I read them out one by one. She typed quickly, repeating each amount back to confirm accuracy. When I finished, she exhaled softly. "That's a significant total. It's 30 years of support. And you want this process tonight?" "I want it started tonight." Laura cleared her throat. "I'll draft the notice first thing in the morning. You'll have it before noon. I'll be ready to sign." She paused again. "Helen, are you sure she won't—" "She already did," I cut in. Another silence. "All right, I'll handle the paperwork," she responded. "Thank you." I ended the call and picked up the notepad again. I reviewed the numbers until the ink lines blurred slightly from the pressure of the pen. I flipped the page and wrote one sentence at the top. "Love doesn't pay bills, but accountability does." The phone buzzed again. Hannah. I let it vibrate until it stopped. I gathered the receipts into new stacks. Education, housing, medical, life events, clean groups, clean lines, clean total. I placed them in a new envelope labeled in bold marker, "For legal use." I sealed the flap. I clicked off the lamp and looked at the envelope sitting in the center of the table. It didn't represent anger. It wasn't spite. It was the first time I had organized 30 years of giving into something measurable, something she couldn't deny, something the world couldn't overlook, something the court would recognize if it came to that. The phone buzzed once more. I finally looked at the screen. One text. "Mom, are you awake?" I locked the phone and slid it across the table. The night didn't feel heavy, it felt structured. I stood, carried the envelope to my desk, and placed it under a paperweight. The Snow Globe tune replayed faintly in my mind, steady as a metronome. I didn't feel tired. I felt prepared. The time for silence was almost over. The time for paperwork had just begun. Morning light hadn't fully settled when I pulled into Laura's office parking lot. The building was quiet, the holiday wreath still hanging on her door from last week. I carried the envelope under my arm and knocked once. She opened the door with a stack of papers in her hand. I drafted everything. It's ready. I stepped inside. She placed the documents on the conference table. Clean, sharp, official. Demand for repayment, she explained, sliding the top sheet toward me. Itemized. 30 days to respond or arrange terms. No room for excuses. I skimmed the first page. Every number I had listed last night was printed in neat black ink. There was no emotion in the layout, just facts, dates, totals, and legal footing. She uncapped her pen. It needs your signature. I took the pen and signed without hesitation. Send it. Laura collected the documents and placed them into a sealed envelope with a red stamp across the front. A courier can deliver it today. He's already on call. Good. She studied me for a moment. You're calm. I'm organized. She nodded once. Then let's proceed. We walked outside together. A delivery van pulled up right on time. The courier stepped out, grabbed the envelope, checked the name twice, and tucked it into his case. Delivery within the hour, he promised. I nodded. Make sure she receives it directly. He touched the brim of his cap. Understood. The van pulled away, tires crunching on the thin layer of frost. Laura folded her arms. She'll call you the second she opens it. I know. But remember, Laura added, don't negotiate over the phone. You control this now. I intend to. I left the office and headed home. The road was steady, the air dry, the cold sharp enough to keep the morning quiet. My phone rested face down in the cup holder until it lit up. Unknown number. Courier confirmation. Delivered. 10 seconds later, Hannah's name exploded across the screen. I let it ring once before answering. Her voice hit fast. Mom, what is this? Some kind of joke? No. This letter. Her breath shook. You're asking for $800,000. I'm asking for repayment. That's insane. You can't do this to me. I can, and I did. She inhaled sharply, the sound clipped and uneven. You're doing this because of last night? You're punishing me? No, I replied. I'm documenting. This is legal harassment. It's an audit. I'm your daughter. And for 30 years, I answered, I covered every bill you couldn't. She stumbled over her own words. You can't seriously expect me to pay all this back. You know I can't. That's why the letter outlines options. She paused. Mom, listen to me. We can figure this out privately. Take it back. No. Her voice strained. Please don't do this. People will think we're dysfunctional. People already watched you throw me out on Christmas. That was a mistake. So is pretending money disappears when it helps you. She exhaled shakily. I'm not paying this. You have 30 days. Mom, stop. This is crazy. It's accounting. Silence stretched between us for the first time in the call. Then she tried again. If Derek sees this, he's going to be furious. He'll think I'm irresponsible. He'll think correctly. She gasped. You're being cruel? No, I'm being accurate. Another silence. Then, what do you want from me? Responsibility. Mom, please, this is humiliating. That's between you and the numbers. Her breathing hitched. You're really doing this. I already did. I ended the call, placed the phone face down again, and kept driving. The letter was delivered, the clock was ticking, and for the first time in her adult life, my daughter had to handle something without me covering the damage. By noon the next day, the storm had already started. My phone vibrated with alert after alert. Tags, mentions, screenshots. I opened one out of curiosity. It was Hannah's social media post. My mother destroyed our Christmas. She froze all our payments and embarrassed us in front of everyone. Thousands of views, dozens of comments, most sympathetic, some confused, a few harsh, the kind of digital fire she always feared, yet she threw the match herself. I stared at the screen for 3 seconds, then locked it. Another alert popped up. Someone had shared her post with the caption, "Who does that to their daughter?" I ignored it. I made coffee instead. 5 minutes later, Laura called. "You saw the post?" "Yes." "You want me to respond officially?" "No." "You sure?" "I don't argue online." Laura paused. "Then what's your move?" I glanced at the box of old store supplies stacked near the doorway. "I'll show them facts." "How public?" "As public as she made it." "I'll meet you in an hour." I hung up and drove to my old craft store, the one I closed 2 years after Richard died. The windows were dusty, but the sign still hung above the door. I unlocked it for the first time in months. The scent of paper and wood polish floated out, familiar and steady. Laura arrived moments later. "You want to hold it here?" "Yes, small, controlled, clear." "Press?" "A few. Enough to document the truth." She nodded. Inside, I set up a folding table. On it, I placed the stack of receipts I had organized the night before. Clean piles, labeled, visible. Laura stepped beside me. "Ready?" "I'm always ready." 5 minutes later, the first reporter walked in, camera bag slung over his shoulder. "Thanks for agreeing to speak. We saw the post your daughter made, and I lifted a receipt stack." She left out details. Another reporter entered, then a neighbor, then 2 customers from years ago who recognized my name on the post. Soon, a small semicircle formed in front of the table. I tapped the top receipt. 30 years. Tuition, housing, medical bills, events, emergencies, all documented, all verified. Someone asked, "Is this about revenge?" "No." "Then what is it?" Another pressed. "Truth," I answered. I slid the first paper forward. $3,142 for community college enrollment. Next, $8,900 for her first apartment, for her first. And next, $41,000 for her wedding. They leaned closer as each number dropped like a stone. A woman near the table murmured, "That's a lot." I nodded once, and every amount was covered without conditions. The first reporter raised his camera. "Your daughter claims you froze the Christmas payments suddenly." "I froze payments I funded. I kept my voice even." "She hosted a dinner she didn't pay for." A neighbor spoke up. "Why post about it publicly then? Why frame you as the villain?" "You'd have to ask her," I replied, "but I won't defend myself online when I have receipts." Another woman added, "She sounded frantic in her videos." "She should be focused on accountability instead." A man folded his arms. "Did she throw you out on Christmas?" "Yes." The group went silent. Laura stepped forward. Mrs. Moore took no action until after she was removed from her daughter's home. Everything documented here predates last night. I slid another stack forward. "Rent coverage from the year Derek lost his job. $6,200. Reporters typed quickly. Cameras clicked. Pens scratched across notebooks. One asked, "Are you planning legal action?" I looked directly at him. "I sent a formal repayment request this morning, 30 days. "You expect her to pay the full amount?" "I expect her to acknowledge it." He nodded slowly. "Do you regret any of it? The money, the support, the silence up until now?" "No." Another voice from the back of the room chimed in. "What do you want from her now?" "Honesty." More cameras captured my expression. More people inched closer. The first reporter spoke again. "Would you like to make a statement for viewers?" "Yes." He raised the camera. "Go ahead." I rested my hands on the table. My daughter posted online because it was easier than admitting the truth. She wanted sympathy. She forgot the internet isn't blind. I tapped the receipts. "These are facts. 30 years of them. I didn't ruin her Christmas. I just stopped paying for it." A quiet gasp spread through the room. Laura cleared her throat. We'll distribute copies of the itemized list for transparency. Anyone who wants to verify can follow the document trail. The man near the window asked, "Mrs. Moore, do you have anything else you want the public to understand?" "Yes." I looked around the room, meeting each pair of eyes. Reputation was her weapon. Truth is mine. A woman exhaled sharply. "That's blunt." "It's accurate." Reporters began gathering their equipment. Neighbors whispered to each other. Someone shook my hand on the way out. Another patted my arm gently. Within minutes, the store emptied, leaving only me and Laura at the folding table. She looked at the piles of receipts. "They believe you. They should." Next step? I picked up the envelope copy. We wait. Think she'll respond? She'll have to. Laura nodded slowly, studying my face. "You handled that well." "It wasn't emotional." "No," she replied. "It was efficient." I gathered the receipts, stacked them neatly, and closed the box. Outside, the wind picked up, carrying faint sounds of traffic and distant conversations. A ripple of voices from the gathering still echoed down the street, neighbors already sharing what they learned. The narrative had shifted, and for the first time since Christmas began, the truth stood louder than the lie. I woke to the sound of my phone buzzing nonstop. Not with Hannah's calls this time. These were messages from people I hadn't heard from in years. Neighbors, former customers, old friends. I opened the first one. "We saw the report. Good for you." Then another. 30 years of support? She never mentioned any of that. And another. "You handled it with grace. Proud of you." Laura called a moment later. "You've been in the paper." I figured. They ran the story this morning. Headline reads, "Mother documents 30 years of support after holiday dispute." "Accurate," she continued. "Comments are flooding in. People siding with you. A lot of them." "Truth spreads fast." Laura chuckled softly. "Not always, but this time, yes." My phone buzzed again, this time with a link from Mrs. Henley, my old neighbor. A community forum thread. "Our town's Christmas scandal. New details show the mother wasn't wrong." Dozens of replies. I skimmed a few. "She supported that girl for decades." "Throwing her out? Unbelievable." The receipts were solid, no exaggeration. "Team Helen." I locked the screen and set the phone on the table. Another vibration. A voicemail from Mr. Collins, the retired teacher down the street. "Helen, everyone's talking about it. You taught a tough lesson. If she's smart, she'll hear it." I slipped my coat on and stepped outside. Fresh snow covered the walkway. Across the street, Mrs. Henley waved from her porch. "We're with you," she called out. I nodded. "Thank you." She rushed down her steps, pulling her scarf tighter. "People have been dropping by all morning. You handled yourself well. A lot of us didn't know what you've done for her." "That wasn't the point." "Well," she replied, "it's the point now." A car slowed as it passed. The driver rolled down the window. Helen saw the article. She needed that wake-up call. I thanked him with a small wave. As I walked toward the mailbox, another neighbor approached. "We read the story. Not easy what you did, but it was fair." "Fair is enough," I answered. He nodded. "For what it's worth, you've got support. People understand." I returned inside and found Laura texting me again. "She'll reach out soon," she wrote. "Pressure's building." I typed back, "Good." Derek's name flashed across the screen next. I didn't answer. A moment later, a text arrived. "I didn't know about the receipts. I didn't know she kept all that hidden from me." Then another. "I need time to think." I deleted the thread without replying. Minutes later, Laura called again. "Local radio just discussed it. Someone from Hannah's dinner party called in and described what happened when the vendors left." "Let them talk." "They are. And the tone isn't flattering for her." "Expected." Laura paused. "She's losing the room, Helen." "She lost it the moment she locked the door." More messages poured in. Screenshots, supportive notes, even a few apologies from people who had believed Hannah's first post. A final text appeared from a number I didn't recognize. This time, silence was applause. I read it again, slower this time. Laura called once more. "Thoughts?" "It fits." "It does," she agreed. The phone buzzed yet again, another article link, this time from a regional blogger summarizing the situation under the title, "Daughter's Christmas Accusation Backfires After Mother Releases Financial Records." Public opinion wasn't split anymore. It had shifted entirely. I brewed a new pot of coffee and sat at the kitchen table, watching snow fall outside the window. The world felt still, but not quiet. There was movement. Messages, voices, reactions, all echoing the same conclusion. The truth had found its audience. The phone lit up again, but not with support this time. Hannah. I didn't open it. She would call, she would text, she would push. But the world around her had changed, and she knew it. The storm outside had softened, but the storm inside Hannah's life had only begun. By late afternoon, Derek's SUV pulled into their driveway. A neighbor recorded it and posted it online with the caption, "Looks tense." The clip already had thousands of views by the time Hannah opened the door. Derek entered the house carrying 2 suitcases. Hannah's voice rose instantly. "What are you doing with those?" "Leaving." "What? No, Derek, you're not going anywhere." He brushed past her and set the suitcases near the stairs. "I can't stay in this mess." She grabbed his arm. "Mess? This is your family." "This is your scandal," he corrected. Hannah's breath caught. "You're blowing this out of proportion." He pointed toward the kitchen counter, where her phone lay face up, still lighting up with notifications. "Your post went viral. The follow-up reports went viral. Your mother's receipts went viral." She stepped back. "We can fix it." "No," he cut in. "You lied. You told everyone your mother ruined Christmas. You didn't mention she funded the whole thing." "That's not how it was supposed to sound." "But it's what you posted." Hannah tried to slow her breathing. "They twisted it. People online twist everything. You twisted it first." Her mouth opened, but no words came out. Derek didn't wait. He walked to the closet and pulled out more clothes. "I'm staying at a hotel until this settles." "You're abandoning me over this?" "You embarrassed yourself," he responded, "and by extension me." She lunged forward, grabbing the sleeve of his jacket. "Derek, don't. Please. You're the only one I have right now." He pulled his arm free. "Then maybe you should have treated the person who raised you better." She flinched like the words hit physically. "You don't understand. She humiliated me." "No," he replied. She revealed the truth. Hannah stumbled back, gripping the doorway for balance. Derek zipped his suitcase and headed for the door. "I need space, and I need to protect my reputation." "That's all you care about?" she shouted. "It's all you cared about when you threw your mother out." He opened the door. "Derek, please, don't do this." He stepped outside without turning back. The door slammed shut. Hannah stood still for a long moment, the sound echoing through the empty house. The lights were dim, the kitchen untouched, the dining table still covered with abandoned decorations from last night's failed event. She sank onto a chair, clutching her phone with trembling hands. A new tag appeared on her screen. "Daughter demands sympathy after mother paid $883K for her life." Under it, comments. "Ungrateful. Shameful. Grow up." Hannah let out a shaky breath. No. Another notification appeared, a clip from the community meeting at my store. Her voice played in the background, edited over images of the receipts. Then a comment pinned at the top. "For someone who wanted everything, she now has exactly that. Herself." She slammed the phone down, gripping her hair with both hands. "Why is this happening?" Her eyes drifted to a small gift box on the counter, the one I had left on her porch earlier that week, before everything fell apart. She reached for it slowly, as if expecting it to burn her fingers. Inside was a simple ornament shaped like a tiny house, with a note attached. "For your first Christmas as a family. Mom." She pressed the ornament to her chest, tears hitting the table in steady drops. "I didn't ask for all this," she whispered into the empty room. "I didn't ask her to keep everything. I didn't ask." The phone buzzed again. Another headline. "Hannah Ellis's husband moves out amid financial scandal." A reporter tweeted, "Sources confirm marital strain." Her hand flew to her mouth. "No, please." A neighbor knocked on the door. Hannah, are you all right? She stayed silent, frozen. Another knock. Hannah, we're worried about you. She backed away from the door until her shoulders hit the wall, breathing unsteady, eyes darting across the room like she needed an exit. Then, a text from Derek. I need space. Don't contact me tonight. Her knees buckled. She dropped to the floor beside the unused gift box and curled forward, gripping the ornament like a lifeline. The room seemed to shake with every new notification, every headline, every reminder that the world now knew exactly what she had tried so hard to hide. The Christmas tree in the corner dimmed again, one bulb flickering in the middle strand. She stared at it through wet eyes, unable to move. Finally, she whispered to the empty room, I lost everything, didn't I? Only a quiet hum from the refrigerator answered her. She lowered her head and closed her eyes. And in that silence, she felt the weight of what she had done. Not because someone told her, not because the public demanded it, but because the last person who stood by her had just walked out the door. The sky outside had turned gray by evening when my phone finally buzzed in a way that made me stop what I was doing. Not frantic, not angry, slow, hesitant. Hannah. I stared at the screen for a moment before picking up. Her voice broke on the first word. Mom? I didn't respond. She tried again. Are you there? I'm here. A shaky breath came through the line. I don't know where to start. Start with the truth. She took a long pause. I messed everything up. Which part? Her breath trembled. All of it. The line stayed open, her quiet breathing filling the space. You threw me out, I reminded her. On Christmas. I know. You lied online. I know. You hid what I paid for. Her voice cracked again. I know, okay? She sniffed hard. I didn't think everything would blow up. I didn't think people would care this much. They cared because they saw everything you didn't show. I know. The words fell out quicker. I made it worse. I tried to fix it, but every time I tried, it just got worse. Another pause. Mom, she whispered. Yes. I'm sorry. For which part? She swallowed audibly. For treating you like a wallet, for expecting you to fix everything for me, for throwing you out like you didn't matter. You made choices, I replied. Now you're seeing their cost. Her voice shook. I didn't realize how much you did for me. I didn't realize how much I relied on you. You didn't want to realize. I know, she whispered. I ignored it because it was easier. I let her sit in the quiet. Then she spoke again. Mom, are you angry? No. Then what are you? Done. She inhaled sharply, like the word hit harder than anything else. Please don't be done with me. You need to learn, Hannah. I know, I'm trying. You're starting, I corrected. Trying comes later. Her voice thinned. I don't know how to fix this. You stop lying. I'm telling the truth now. You're telling it because everyone else already did. Another silence. She let out a breath. Derek left. I'm aware. He took everything. His clothes, his computer, even his toothbrush. That's what happens when someone protects their reputation. I was trying to protect mine. And you lost both. She didn't argue. Mom, I didn't know how much shame can feel like drowning. Now you understand silence. Another pause. I don't want to lose you. You pushed me out. I know. You did it in front of a house full of people. I know. And you lied to strangers about me. I know, Mom. I'm not arguing. I'm not making excuses. She tried again, voice hoarse. I'm asking, what happens now? I leaned back in my chair. Now, you learn. Her breath shook. Learn what? How to stand without leaning on me. I don't know if I can. You'll find out. Her voice dropped to a whisper. Do you hate me? No. Then why does this hurt so much? Because consequences hurt. Growth hurts more. She didn't speak. Hannah, I continued, forgiveness isn't free, it's earned. She let out a small sob she tried to muffle. I want to earn it. Then start with honesty. I am. All of it. She hesitated. There's more. I know. She swallowed. I was embarrassed of you. I didn't move. I thought if people saw where I came from, they'd judge me. I thought if they saw you, they'd think I didn't belong with Derek's crowd. I raised you to be proud of yourself. I wasn't proud. I was scared. Fear isn't an excuse. I know. Her voice softened even more. Mom, I threw you out because I thought you'd ruin the image I was trying to build. And how did that image hold up? It fell apart, she whispered, in front of everyone. Because it wasn't real. I know. Now you're forced to see what was. She sniffed again. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, not because I got caught, but because I hurt you, and I hurt myself. I let her words settle. They weren't polished. They weren't rehearsed. They were finally true. She asked quietly, Is there anything I can do? Yes. What? Take responsibility. I'm trying, she murmured. Good. Keep going. Another pause. Then she whispered, I miss you. You miss what I did for you. I miss you, she repeated, firmer this time. Not the help, not the money, you. I closed my eyes for a moment. That was the first honest thing she had said all night. She waited. Mom, please don't hang up. I won't. What happens next? She asked again. You keep learning. And after that, we see who you become. Another silence stretched, soft, not heavy this time. Mom, she whispered, thank you for answering. You're welcome. Her breath steadied. I'll call you tomorrow. I'll be here. The line stayed open for a moment, quiet and still. Then she disconnected. For the first time since Christmas began, the conversation between us wasn't built on appearances, fear, or excuses. It was built on truth. The sky was pale when I woke, the kind of morning light that made the snow outside look almost blue. I walked to the kitchen, brewed coffee, and checked my email. Laura had already sent confirmation that the legal notice was logged, time-stamped, and archived. I closed the laptop and picked up my phone. Hannah hadn't called yet, not angry, not frantic, just quiet. That was new. A few minutes later, the screen lit up with her name. I answered. Her voice was low. Mom, I didn't sleep. I figured. I kept replaying everything, the dinner, the crowd, the letter, the receipts, all of it. You needed clarity. She breathed out slowly. I don't know how to fix what I did. You don't fix the past, I replied. You fix yourself. Another pause. I want to start. Good. She sniffed once. What do you want from me today? Stability. How do I do that? You take space. You stop depending on chaos. She waited. Okay. Tell me what to do. Check your account, I instructed. She fumbled with her phone. Why? Just check. A moment later, she gasped. Mom, did you transfer $1,000? Yes. Why? It's not a gift. It's a structure. Her voice softened. Explain it. 1 week in a hotel. A hotel? She echoed. You're not staying in that house alone while you're spiraling. She hesitated. Okay. 2 weeks to secure a job. Any job. Doesn't matter where. You need routine and responsibility. I can do that, she murmured. And no requests for money for 6 months. She swallowed hard. None? None. Mom, that's strict. It's a beginning. She didn't argue. All right. 3 rules, I repeated. 1 week hotel, 2 weeks job. No financial requests for 6 months. I understand. I set my mug down. This isn't forgiveness." "I know," she whispered. "It's a chance." "Yes." A beat passed. "I'll follow the rules," she promised. "Every one of them." "You'll follow them because you need them," I corrected, "not because I demanded it." She exhaled, shaky but determined. "I'll make this right." "Not overnight," I reminded her. "I know," she answered, "but I'm not running from it." "Good." Another beat of silence. Then she spoke again, quieter than before. "Mom, thank you." "For what?" "For not giving up on me." "I almost did." "I know," she whispered, "and that's what scared me the most." I didn't respond. She continued, "I'll check into the hotel today. I'll send you the address." "You don't need to." "I want to," she replied. "I want you to know I'm trying." I let her sit with that for a moment. "Call me when you settle in." "I will," she said. She stayed on the line, as if afraid of what disconnecting might mean. Then she finally whispered, "Mom, I'll earn it." "You'd better." Her breath steadied. "Talk soon." "Talk soon." She hung up. The house felt still, peaceful, not empty. I walked to the window. Outside, the snow had begun to melt along the edges of the walkway. Water trickled down the sides, catching the light in thin silver lines. It was the first sign of warmth all week. I picked up the snow globe from the counter. For years, I could barely open it without feeling the weight of everything Richard and I built. Now, it felt light. I turned the key. The melody rose gently, filling the quiet kitchen. I watched the flakes swirl around the tiny cabin and finally settle. I closed the globe and set it back in its place. For the first time since Christmas Day, the storm, inside and out, felt closed. Not erased, not forgotten. Closed. And from here, both of us could start again. Thank you for staying with me through this Christmas I'll never forget. If you've ever had to teach love the hard way, then you understand why I stood my ground. This wasn't about revenge. It was about clarity, responsibility, and finally giving myself permission to stop carrying what wasn't mine. Hannah and I are not finished, but for the first time, the path in front of us is honest. And that's more than I had on Christmas morning. If this story touched something in you, I'd love to hear your thoughts below. Your comments remind me that none of us walk through these lessons alone. Thank you for watching, for listening, and for sharing part of your day with me. Take care of yourselves, stay warm, and I hope you'll join me for the next story. Until then, be well.